row is Chris Schultz in number 90 and Jay Drake in 97. Second row, Doug Kalita in 21 and Dan Dryden in 33. The third row, Jason Leffler, car number 71, and Ryan Newman in 39. The fourth row, Tracy Hines in number 3 and Kenneth Nichols in 16. The fifth row, Andy Mishner in number 2 and Jimmy McCune in 48. Sixth row, Steve Barth in 14 and Tony Stewart in number 9 if he can go. Seventh row, Dave Steele in 62 and Chuck Leary in 30. The eighth row, Jimmy Kite in 95 and Ronnie John Cox in number 8. The ninth row, Robbie Flock in 24 and Johnny Heidenreich in 36. The 10th row, Ted Hines in number 41 and Todd Domark in number 5. And in the 11th row, Nick Fenoro Jr. in number 9 and Michael Lewis in 85. And apparently, Tony Stewart is not going to make it.
Well, they're having a lot of trouble. They're still working on it down there, but it doesn't look like they're working nearly as hard as I would expect them to work right now. They're still trying to button everything up. The question is, will they wait on them? They're not going to wait on them. No, they're going to give them the green this time around as the pace car starts to pull off, and doesn't look like he's going to get out on the racetrack in time. That's a tough break.
Yep, the field is coming around, and Tony Stewart's car, although they are pushing it to try to get it to a position to get started, the field comes off of corner number 4, and the green flag waves, and the Mel Kenyon Classic is underway. They're 3 wide at the line.
And look at Kalita down there, sideways, clear on the bottom of the racetrack. Everybody got on the binders behind him and allowed the first 2 cars to kind of jump out into a little bit of a lead.
Wow, that was a close moment. They were 3 wide at the line, and then Kalita all over the place as they went into corner number 1. It's Schultz the lead. Running in second position is Jay Drake from his outside front row position. This is on board from Heidenreich, and look at this.
Tons and tons of cars up there. He's trying to find a way through all that mess. Can't do it. He's going to settle for back there in about, I guess, 16th or 17th spot right now.
That's John Cox up ahead of him. Dave Steele also up there in the red number 62 as the second lap has been completed.
That's Jimmy Kite directly in front of him, the other camera car that he's trying to get around. Kite just kind of hanging on. You see he's running lower on the racetrack, trying to get a little traction, trying to get up the side of him. But that low groove, not particularly the fastest way around this early in the race.
Boy, that's just a terrific shot, and it gives you a good indication of how fast these cars go around the 5/8 mile. And it also gives you an indication of how close they can test these positions. Kite, by the way, is running in 15th at the moment, and so Heidenreich would be back in 16th. They're down the backstretch.
Boy, you can see a gaggle of cars. Ryan Newman down on the bottom of Kalita. He's been trying to get under him for the last lap. That's the battle for 5th spot. And look at Newman down under him, and Kalita just goes fast enough to be able to pull him off of the corners, it seems like, every time off.
That's Tracy Hines in car number 3 behind Newman. Now Newman once again to the low side of the racetrack. This time he pulls it off and picks up the position, putting Kalita back to 6th spot. Here is Hines now, and also Andy Mishner is in this group of cars.
Hines trying to get around. Meanwhile, Danny Dryden has moved into 2nd position. No, he has not. I'll take that back. He's still trying to get into 2nd position.
There he does.
Boy, what a soothsayer I am. I knew he was going to do that.
Dryden slides into 2nd position up in front of the 97 car of Jay Drake. The lead continues to be held by Chris Schultz, and he is putting some racetrack between himself and everybody else. Almost a 3/4 length front straightaway advantage for Schultz, as everybody else, there's the advantage. Quite a margin for Schultz. The interesting thing is going to be Dan Dryden try to chase him down. Now we see that's Kalita.
No, that's Leffler.
Leffler goes for 3rd position and gets it.
He just smoked that right rear as he went around his teammate, Jay Drake, on the inside. Now look at Ryan Newman. He's going to go down to the inside, see if he can do the same thing. He can't pull it off. The interesting thing is going to be to see if that right rear is too hot, and he starts going backwards here pretty soon. You can still see the smoke rolling off of it. He got it plenty hot, I can tell you.
Yeah, Jay Drake smoked it again in the 4th corner, and that allows Ryan Newman to pick up the position. So put Ryan Newman now into the 4th spot.
Right, he's now in 4th, so it's once again the 71 car of Leffler running in 3rd. There's Ryan Newman in 4th. Jay Drake now running in 5th position. So the 6th car back there is still Kalita, and then Hines running back behind him. What a a battle back here. That's a battle for 12th, 13th, and 14th. Jimmy Kite right behind Leary. He's got cars on the inside. He's got cars on the front and a wall on the outside. He's got no place to go.
I was going to say, my most important thing to look at would be the wall, which is just inches away from him. Good shot of Jimmy Kite. That's Dave Steele underneath him and Leary up ahead. Now Steele is behind as Kite hits to the inside of the racetrack and makes a nice move.
He made that little slide job look pretty easy as he went down to the inside, slid right up in front, and took that position away. Now Steele's going to try to do the same thing, but Leary hangs on.
That's a 12th position that Kite just went into. The caution flag is out. Yellow is out. Don't see any car spun. It's debris on the racetrack that causes the slowdown, or I should say Coletta.
Yeah, that's Coletta that he's trying to get around, and so far hasn't been able to do it. Oh, the 41 car.
Yeah, Ted Hines is in some kind of trouble. I don't know what happened, but he dropped off the pace in turns 1 and 2, and now drops to the inside of the racetrack. So obviously Hines and Johnny Heidenreich also pulls in the pits.
Both of them into the pits at the same time. I think all that Ted Hines was doing was trying to get way up out of everybody's way. He had some sort of a problem. He got way to the top side, just trying to get out of the way, let everybody go past him, and then move back down, pull in the pits.
All right, there's Chris Schultz, Ryan Newman, there's Leffler, Dan Dryden.
The battles back there in the back are really between Michener, and here's Kite. We're going to ride around with him, but Michener is really still trying to get around Barth up there, and he just hasn't been able to do it. That's the yellow car way up there in front of Jimmy Kite, as you look from his viewpoint.
Jimmy Kite in his 5th midget feature this year. His finishes were 15th here, 20th here, 18th in Colorado, and had a 6th place finish on the dirt at the 16th Street Speedway. We're halfway through this race, 20 down, 20 to go. This is 10 laps longer than most feature races. Does that mean any different strategy for the drivers except to keep the right rear cool?
Well, the right rear is going to be very, very important as this race wears on. Almost all of these guys chose to go with the softer tire. They have a 7.3, a 7.5, and an 8.0. 7.3 being the softest, and obviously the one that can stand the least amount of abuse. What most of these drivers will do is they'll heat cycle a tire. They'll maybe run it a heat race last week or 2 weeks ago, and maybe run another heat race or a hot lap session tonight and let it cool. If you cool it and heat it a couple times, those soft tires will make a 40-lap race. Some of these guys might not have had the opportunity to get through that heat cycle. If they didn't, their tires are going to probably start to blister here in the next 5 to 8 laps.
Still watching this battle between 8th and 9th position, and also between 9th and 10th. In 8th is Hines, as we now focus in on the battle between the Kenneth Nichols car and Jay Drake in number 97.
Yeah, Jay Drake's hanging on for dear life. Kenny Nichols seems to be able to drive into the corners just a little bit deeper. He tries to drop down under it coming off. Hasn't been able to do anything yet. Now he's on the inside of him. He's going to try to outbrave him getting into turn 1. Can't outbrave Jay Drake too often, so he just has to settle for riding alongside of him. But if you can ride alongside of him like that a lap or so, you're going to get up enough momentum to go on by. Couldn't do it that time.
Just couldn't do it. Meanwhile, Doug Coletta has closed in, and now there's 3 cars involved in this battle here. Well, Kenneth Nichols has always run well here at Indianapolis Raceway Park. Remember, he won a couple of times here in IRP last year. He's trying to get around the 97 of Drake, but meanwhile, here comes Coletta to challenge him, trying to get to the inside.
That's 5th, 6th, and 7th. Those guys running nose to tail. Nichols trying to get around. Coletta gets a big run on him once in a while. Then he makes a little bit of a slide up there and falls back a couple of car lengths. But he's also very fast. I think Kenneth Nichols right now pulls to the inside coming off of turn 2. That's been his best place to get some momentum and get around. So far, he just hasn't had enough to go on around and going into 3.
Just cannot do it. Meanwhile, up front, the interval is about the same. There's the 71 car of Leffler and Dryden. Here is Chris Schultz lapping a slower car, and he's got Ryan Newman right on his tail, about a car length and a half separating the two. A couple of Dryden chassis here going for it for the win. Now Newman gets a run into turn 1. He's side by side with Chris Schultz, and who's going to come out in the lead? They're still wheel to wheel and side by side, and Schultz holds him off.
Well, Schultz won that game of chicken, but I'll tell you what, it's not over yet, because Newman's going to get back up there and give that to him again. Schultz has got to have some nerves of steel to you know, you got to have a lot of trust in the guy. When he comes in there that fast, sliding right up at you, and you can say, well, I can either get out of the throttle or take the chance he's not going to hit me. He knew that Newman was going to give him room, and he did.
Chris Schultz comes into this race tonight 8th in the points in the USAC National Midget Point standings. Remember, he crashed in the electric car race that we had here just a few minutes ago, but shook it off and has been leading every lap so far in this race with just 10 laps to go, and it looks like that now he's edging ahead just a little bit. Meanwhile, Jimmy Kite continues to battle. There is Dave Steele. They're still going wheel to wheel.
Boy, David Steele wins the battle that time, and Steele's been trying to get around him almost this entire race, and that time he finally got to the inside of him down there in 3 and 4 and went on by.
And there's Robbie Flock also just ahead of Dave Steele. Flock in the 24, Steele in the 62, leaving Jimmy Kite back there with our onboard camera shot. 31 laps have been completed, now coming down the main straightaway to complete lap number 32. And again, Ryan Newman is right there to present the challenge. They put a lap on Michael Lewis. Let's see if Newman makes another run at him here.
Well, every time he shows him a nose, gives that Chris Schultz just a little bit of shot of adrenaline, and he seems to gain speed for a couple laps. But boy, right there, oh, he got him that time. He went on by the tap, but right now Schultz is going to have a tough time ever getting back by Newman. But Newman just went by, moved right up in front of him. Schultz didn't want to give him room, but he had to.
Yep, and it's going to be tough to catch and pass Ryan Newman now, because he is in the lead and he has less than 7 laps to go. The young man from South Bend, Indiana, the 95 Midget Rookie of the Year, currently 14th in the midget points this year, but he has only been in 7 midget features, including tonight. And he's opened up a little bit of a distance now, a little bit of breathing room for Ryan Newman over Chris Schultz. 35 laps will be complete when he hits the line the next time.
Yeah, he's drawn out into several car length leads. If we take a look at 3rd, 4th, and 5th, that's Leffler still running in 3rd, Nichols running in 4th, and that first white car, Danny Drynan, trying to get around him. And looks like all 3 of those guys, looks like their car's sliding around just a little bit, like they've got some tire wear.
So Kenneth Nichols moves to 4th position and has now mounted a challenge on Jason Leffler there in the 71 car, but the laps are winding down. Less than 4 to go.
Yeah, Kenneth Nichols really seems to be working well in that car. He seems to have set his race car up for the last part of the race. Leffler looks to me like he's having a little bit of trouble. You can see him saw the wheel up there. That thing's just not handling nearly as well as it was earlier in the race, and that gives Kenneth Nichols a lot of extra incentive to try to go on around him.
Robbie Flock just dropped out of the race. Kenneth Nichols started this race from 8th position, and he is challenging for 3rd now as Jason Leffler in the 71 tries to hold him off. 38 laps are now complete as Ryan Newman crosses the line. 2 more to go, lapping some slower traffic here.
Yeah, that's Chuck Leary that he just went around, and he, like he did in an earlier race here, seems to have been really on a string the last half of this race. He didn't, he had a lot of patience. He didn't challenge anybody extremely hard early in the race, but boy, the last half of the race, he was just dynamite.
White flag, 1 more lap to go for Ryan Newman. He goes to the inside of Jimmy McCune and puts a lap on him. Down the backstretch now, Ryan Newman half a lap away from his 3rd victory of 1997. 2 will come here in Indianapolis Raceway Park, and 1 at Pikes Peak International. Checkered flag waves, and we have a big crash down in turn number 1, and that is Andy Michener.
Andy Michener into the wall hard down there, and after he received the white flag, there was about 6 or 7 cars. It looks like Danny Drynan was involved in that as he's pulling down low down in the turn 3 and 4 area. But Michener hard into the wall, and you can see the tail tank really took a hard smash.
He has knocked the paint off that car.
Oh, man.
And we saw him throw out his steering wheel, but now he appears to be motionless. Let's hope that Andy Michener was uninjured. Now we see him continuing to unstrap himself. Wow, that was a scary moment just as the checkered flag dropped for Ryan Newman. Newman won the race. Here's what happened.
You can see that Danny Drynan got sideways. He got upside down. Boy, did he hit that thing hard, straight backwards. Boy, no wonder the paint's knocked off of that thing. It's a wonder the wall's still standing.
No